When people first began to live here, the island of Thira formed a disk, with beaches that sloped gently down to the sea. As it turned out, the early settlers had built their cities and towns on a dormant volcano. 4,000 years ago, Thira exploded, and most of the island sank into the sea. Although the volcano still shakes buildings and buries the past, people continue to build their homes on the cliffs surrounding the sunken crater. Each new group that came to Thira blended its customs with those before to weave a continuous thread of European tradition. Kipseli is one tiny village on this isolated island. Yet the same traditions of language, architecture, religion, and economic development that have produced the Kypselian way of living have also formed the rest of European culture. The Minoans, who created the earliest European civilization, began Thira's recorded history. Thira was a Minoan stronghold second only to Crete. And when the island exploded, the catastrophe destroyed all Minoan civilization. Years later, Phoenicians came to Thira, introducing their alphabet. The earliest Greek writings known on Thira utilize it. The Dorians were the first Greeks to colonize Thira. Then came the Spartans. Then came the Romans, who built their customary baths and theaters. By 200 AD, Christianity had come to Thira. During the Byzantine era, most of the island's Hellenic and Roman temples were consecrated into churches. Byzantium ruled Thira for 900 years. When the Venetians captured Thira in 1204, they replaced the Byzantine lords with their own nobility. Venice held the island 4 centuries, while the Turkish Empire encroached. Eventually, the Turks took over Thira. They influenced the island's music and introduced men's coffee houses. Finally, the Greeks reclaimed Thira as their own. Today, the island is populated by traditional peasants who maintain an age-old European cultural pattern. The unbroken stream of Thira's history now surfaces at such towns as Iagura, the island's capital, and at the peasant village of Kipseli. Kipseli is a less sophisticated outgrowth of the same heritage that has produced our complex cities. Its very simplicity helps reveal what assumptions all members of European culture use to structure their daily lives. People everywhere bring order to their existence by dividing the world into such categories as male and female, clean and polluted, holy and profane. To its residents, the village of Kypseli is not just a chaotic conglomeration of things. Each item and location has a definition that places it in harmony with the total system. The villagers have a set of notions that tells them how and when to utilize the objects that make up their lives. There is a correct way to give attention to the sacred and a correct place to put a plow. The road to Kipseli ends at the village square, which serves as a community center. Here men loaf about or weigh the harvest, but no adult women spend much time inside the square. Women's activities predominate inside the village courtyards and buildings during the day. While women are working at home, men spend their time farming and hunting in the surrounds, a distinct part of the village that encircles the rest of Kypseli. Men own most of the rich and fertile fields, and they prefer not to have women around as they work their land.